Hello, wonderful viewers. It's time once again for an exclusive Human Rights Talk segment, just for you. And this is because of our love for humanity and the desire we have to ensure that your rights are protected and respected at all times. I'm Mama Nupe, and you are watching Human Rights Talk with NUPEZ. To better understand the issue for discussion today, we have with us two personalities to help us understand. We have with us Detective Inspector Derek Dixon Atuna of the Delta Divisional Police Headquarters, CID, Ghana Police Service. And we also have with us Ms. Ruth Kwabia Amankwa. She holds an LLM in International Law and International Relations from Bristol University, UK. She has a little over 4 years legal work experience both in the UK and in Ghana. She provides legal assistance to Fair Justice Initiative. These are the people that are going to help us talk more into the topic for today, which is police detention without trial. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As usual, before we delve into the main issue for today, we usually talk about our life and living segment, which I know is something you equally love. The topic for today's life and living segment is falling in love with two people at the same time. Yeah, I can see you laughing already. Do you know why? Because that is something that happens in our society every single day. When that happens, what do? We have our two panelists here who are going to help us understand why some of these things happen. And when it does happen, what can be done about it? I don't know who to start with, but then ladies first. So let me start. Yes, ladies first. So let me start with Ruth, tell us, have you ever fallen in love with two people at the same time?
I think it happens.
Have you ever fallen in love with two people at the same time?
I believe everyone can have more than two soulmates.
Have you fallen in love with two people at the same time?
I'd like to say yes, because you can fall in love with people on the same level, even if it's family, friends, or in a more romantic.
Okay, so let me restrict it so you understand.
Yes, that might make
falling
it.
in love with two people here means falling in love with two opposite sex, like partners,
Yes.
as in a life
At the same
partner,
time.
At the same time.
Okay, no, I would say no. But I know situations and other people's experiences where that has happened, and it's actually a common phenomenon.
Yeah.
People don't like to talk about it. It's usually overlooked or underestimated, but it does happen, and we need to maybe discuss that more.
All right. Detective, what can you tell us? Have you ever fallen in love with two people at the same time?
Oh, I do, because this is a reality. Sometimes it may happen that you are in love with two, and then it's not something that is just a mere thing, but it's real, and then it's because as they say, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You see, in the near future, maybe something can happen, and then you need to switch.
You
So
see,
if you are
this
with,
is the
yeah,
typical
yeah,
talk of a man.
yes,
Men don't put eggs in one basket.
basket,
So that is typical of
yeah.
him. So, Mr. Tuna, you are trying to tell us that it
Yeah.
happened before.
Oh, it happens. It happens.
For you, have you fallen in love with two people? Before you chose your spouse, were you in love with two women?
Really, you look out there for, and you may see two or even more than two.
Detective,
It could be
don't
three.
judge
It could be
my
three,
first.
and
Oh, really?
it could be three, and
Okay,
then you
so
have to
see,
settle on. Yeah.
I understand you.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about keeping multiple partners. I'm talking about falling in love, actually being in love with two people. Because there's a difference. There's a difference between falling in love with people, and then there's a difference between you being with, having other multiple partners. Because you men, I know it's very common with you guys. You have multiple partners. But the point is, have you at any point in your life been in love with two different people that it becomes difficult for you to make a decision? You become indecisive about it.
I guess when that happens, you're in love with two different people for two different reasons. And it
Okay.
might be hard to choose because they are both equally important.
So don't you think that becomes very selfish of us as people?
No.
No. It's not. It's not. Sometimes we're all human beings.
Yeah.
You may be seeing two people, and they're equally up to your liking.
Yeah.
You see, so the fact that you're in love with the two doesn't mean that at least it's normal. It's part of life.
I agree
There's
with,
nothing wrong with it.
I
So
definitely agree.
you have to decide. Love is something that you cannot, easily measure. But at the end of the day, you settle on one, definitely.
It's also how you act on it. It's
Yes.
not a
And
problem.
it depends on the treatment that you receive from them. You may not receive the same treatment.
Okay, so like Mr. Tuna said, so that's why I come in to say that that is more of selfishness. Do you know why? Because I think it's selfishness because if I'm in love with two people and I love them equally, or maybe because there's something in one person that is lacking in the other person, and that is and those are two qualities I really love.
Yeah.
So it made me fall in love with the two of them. Selfishness here is because can't you understand that as humans, you can't have everything you want? No one can be perfect. You get my point? So if I'm in love with you because of your beauty, and I'm in love with him because of his intelligence, at some point in time, I would have to choose, okay? Because I can't have both. Me keeping both is me being selfish, me wanting to have it all, which is not right. Because I believe the two people that are in love with you equally have certain qualities they wish they would have in a man or a
Yeah.
woman, which you are lacking, but they still stick to you.
Selfish doesn't have to be bad in this context because if you're making decisions for your future, of course, you need to take into consideration what is going to work best for you. So if that means weighing both options to then arrive at a conclusion, I don't see how that is a problem.
Okay, so how long do you weigh those options?
Oh, as to no, it depends. It's relative. It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Sometimes, love is something that you need to, go in for some time before you finally make a decision. You cannot rush. You see, so even if you are in love with the two, or you still have to study them and then, and finally make up your mind. And that may not be
It
today or
means you are
tomorrow.
dictative.
And that is
I
not.
put it to you that you are
Yes.
condoning.
No, no.
You are condoning cheating.
It's not
Yes,
cheating. It's not cheating. Let me tell you, it's not cheating. You see,
you are
it's real. It's
condoning
real. It's
unfaithfulness.
real. Let me tell you, it's real. It's happening. It's in the real world. It's human life.
Like I said, it's about how you
Yes.
act on those feelings. Just
Yes.
because you're in love with two people does not mean you should be exclusive or you shouldn't be exclusive with one. That is when cheating comes in. It's also a mental thing.
It's a mental thing. It's an emotional thing. So
You don't
you
have to
may
act on it. That's where self-control comes in.
exactly.
Yes.
But how many people are able to exercise that self-control?
They then need to develop that. I guess it's down to the individual as well. But personally, I would take a step back from one and analyze
And concentrate on one.
Yes, cultivating the other relationship.
Exactly.
Then eventually, if the other person does something that is totally unacceptable, then move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also, yeah, I
You're
think I
trying to
also
do well.
agree.
Yes.
Well, all too soon. We come to the end of the first segment. But what I would like to say is that when you find yourself in love with two people, just as Ruth said, maybe it gets to a point in time you would have to step back with one of them, concentrate on one, and see how best it all goes so that it doesn't look as if you are cheating. And if it doesn't go well, or you think after a period, if the other person is still available, you concentrate on that other person. There should be some level of exclusivity to the two people at every point in time so that they can actually give you their best, and then you see how best you can go about this thing in choosing a life partner. Well, we'll be right back to the main issue. Thank you. Welcome back. As we said earlier, the main topic for today is police detention without trial. Have you ever had any such experience, or you know anyone who has had any such experience with the police, where the person was detained wrongfully or detained without trial? How did you feel? How did you go about it? Text and let us know what you think, and then we will address your issues. The numbers will be scrolling down for you to text us whatever it is that you want us to talk about. Now, let's get to the studio and talk to the people we have here. I think since we have a police detective here, we would first start with him. So now tell us, Detective Atuna, what is the difference between detention and then arrest?
Thank you very much. um, Arrest in general is governed by the Criminal Procedure Act of Ghana,
Okay.
1960, Act 30. You see, arrest itself is defined as taking or restraining somebody so that that person will come or forthcoming to answer an alleged offense or crime. When you are arrested, your liberty or freedom is curtailed. Your movement is restricted until you are permitted to go or you are dealt with. On the other hand, detention is the period during which you are in the custody of the police. What it means is that in criminal cases, detention is preceded by arrest. As soon as you are arrested, it means you are under detention. You are detained.
Okay. Okay.
So there is.
So there is difference between under criminal case situations and then when it's civil.
Yes.
So like you said, if it is a criminal case, it means you would first be arrested,
Yes.
and then your freedom and everything is curtailed, and then you are being detained.
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's not a criminal case, there can be detention, but not necessarily being arrested. That is what I want to say. But in criminal cases, when you are arrested, then you are detained.
Okay, so it's more like the difference between arrest and detention is if it's a civil case, you may just be detained for a few minutes, for a few questions, or a few days for something, and not really arrested, and your freedom is not curtailed. But if it's a criminal case, is that what you're trying to tell our viewers?
Get me right. What I mean is arrest by the police. You know, police deal with criminal cases.
Yes.
Police don't meddle in civil cases.
Yes.
But there are other detention which are not necessarily arrested. For instance, somebody is misbehaving violently, you know, causing mess. That person can be detained for him to be sober and he can go. It doesn't mean that there's a case against him. Do you get this? Yes.
Okay.
In the other way, for example, when you look at education, students in educational institutions, they are not permitted to go out to town or elsewhere without permission.
Okay. Okay.
Unless permissions are granted before they go out.
Yeah.
So in a way, they are under detention.
Okay. Okay. I think that aspect has been clarified for
Okay.
us. Now, Ruth, can you tell us, under the Ghanaian laws, are there different types of detentions?
Okay, so from my understanding, there are no distinctive types of detention, but an accused person can be held on remand in police custody at the police station, or they can be held on remand at the police station. And that boils down to maybe no space or lack of resources or proximity to the courts or the other police stations. So yeah, that is my understanding. Another angle we could take a look at is unlawful detention and lawful detention. And that comes under the 1992 Constitution, Chapter 5, Subsection 14, which states that any person that has been arrested, restricted, or detained and not been tried in a reasonable period has to be unconditionally or conditionally released. So if that has not been done, that is a violation of their human rights. That then becomes unlawful.
Okay. 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 So, Mr. Sino, do you have anything to say to that?
Yes, yeah. We're talking about the unlawful arrest. Yes, there's a procedure for arrest. If that procedure is not followed, then it means the arrest becomes unlawful. For example, you go to arrest a suspect or somebody who is suspected to have committed a crime. The procedure says, where practicable or possible, you touch the person. You identify yourself to him. You tell him the reason for his arrest. And his right to a lawyer.
Yeah.
In that case, he's confined. This is the procedure. So if a policeman walks to somebody who is suspected of a crime, and he's not able to administer these words to him, and just say you are invited, and you refuse the invitation, then he struggle with him, then as a result, you drag him there, he can be sent to court. But if he goes on appeal and made the court understand that he was not put under arrest procedure, and for that matter, he was resisting an unlawful arrest, he'll be let go.
So I hope you viewers are listening. He's telling us something that we mostly overlook. Maybe because a lot of Ghanaians and people do not know that there is something like this. There's no awareness as to that. So I hope you take a cue from this. And then anytime you're arrested unlawfully, just as the detective said, you can go through the right procedures, go for an appeal, and then you are released. You're set free. Don't allow anyone to infringe on your human rights. Yes, and then there's a question that bothers me. How long can a person be legally detained? Is there a duration?
Yes. The law says that when a person is arrested, restricted, and detained, and the person is not able to be released within 48 hours, the stretch is within 48 hours. If the person is not released, if you've not done with your investigations, and you cannot release him, then you put the person before court. Beyond 48 hours, if you still detain the person, then it is unlawful.
Wow.
It's unconstitutional.
We are really learning a lot because we didn't know this. We didn't know that after 48 hours, if you've not been released,
and you are not put
before court,
it's unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional.
Violated the person's fundamental
human rights. Wow. And
that's
exactly
in the 1992 Constitution.
Wow. It's been backed by law.
Article 14, subsection 2 of the 1992 Constitution.
So you see, this is what this show is all about. Fighting for your human rights. So do not allow anyone to infringe on your fundamental human rights. Let's keep going. Again, what are some of the duties of a police officer to someone who is being arrested? You know, when they are being detained, like you said, it's for 48 hours. They may need, I think you owe them some duties. So what are some of those duties?
Exactly. If a person is taken into custody by the police, it is the duty of the police officer who is in charge to see to the welfare of the person detained. When I'm talking about the welfare, you should see to it that if he's not well, that is, he's sick, you must take him or her to the hospital for treatment. You have to see to facilitate his communication to his relatives, to know his whereabouts. Maybe if he's to be put before court, you have to understand and explain to him his right to a lawyer so that they can defend him.
Okay, so let me come in here.
Yes.
You said right to communication, which is something we all know.
Yes.
So what we know usually happens practically. The person gets there, and the person is not even given the right to even call the right people. Is it the person that's supposed to call, or is the police that's supposed to call the family of the person?
Yes. What happened is, immediately the person is arrested, his liberty is curtailed.
Exactly.
His movement is restricted, so he cannot make a call.
So it is your duty
on you, the police officer,
to do that.
To do that.
But can you just agree to the fact that you police officers fail to do that? You don't place the calls for them.
I don't agree with you. What we do is, or what the police do is, you are taken into custody, okay?
Yes.
If you ask the police that, let me call my father or my mother or my wife or my whatever to know where I am, the police officer, that is a friend of he will do it for you.
Sometimes they tell you they don't even have credit. You see the lawyer see how she's acting, because this is not practicable. You people do not practice what you are telling me, what is supposed to be done. And that is the essence of this show. So we educate the public to know their rights. Ruth, what do you have to say to this?
I actually agree with what you were saying.
Yeah.
We've actually had situations where
up
until we went to the station to visit the accused person, they hadn't been in contact with the family.
Meanwhile, there were police officers there.
Yes. So I feel like sometimes they don't go the extra mile to ensure the communication takes place. They do make the initial call, and if the person doesn't answer the phone or it doesn't go through for whatever reason, they don't make an extra.
I can see Detective one really.
He really wants
to say. I'm eager. You see,
yeah, because I can see you are eager.
The police institution is by no exception. It's also a human institution. You see, when somebody is taken into custody, as I said, his rights are curtailed. I've already talked about that. So if you request, please, I want to talk to my father. I want to talk to my wife. police will do it. Every policeman will do it. I don't want to say because I'm in the shoes of it, I will say that because no, but that's the real situation. The police have to do it. That is what they're supposed to do, and they've been doing it.
Like he rightly said, it's because he's on the show and
So,
he knows people are, so he's saying what
he
he
has to
did.
speak for the people.
He has to speak for his people, but
sometimes
in
even the
reality-
police, maybe as I'm talking about the
in
welfare,
reality it doesn't
it's what
happen.
we call prisoner welfare. It's in our service orders. So if you don't do it and anything happens, you can be held responsible. For example, if the inmate is sick and it's reported to you, and he even says that, look, I have a doctor, I have my own doctor, I have a special ailment which attend to this hospital. You have to, the police have to do it. You have to send him there. But in that case, he foots the bill.
Okay, that's fine.
But where you send him to the government, we normally send him to the government hospital. In that case, it's free. Suspect will not pay. Nobody will pay. But where you direct that you should go to this specialist or this doctor, that is upon your own request, then you, the suspect or the person detained, you foot the bill.
You said something about things being in conduct, and if you go against it, you will be held accountable.
Yes.
But what happens on paper is not really reflective of what is happening on ground, and it's reflected in the prisons. We see people being left languishing in
When you say
their
prisons,
police stations, both.
okay,
They apply.
the police tells you call it prisons. Anyway, it's right because
it applies.
yes.
It cuts across.
Yes.
Yes.
So I cannot sit here and say it's this or it's not that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying ideally,
That's what it should be.
democratical policing and international standards.
So are you empowering our viewers that should they get arrested or detained, they should ask for this, they should exercise this
and the
right,
police will do it.
and ensure that the police does
They
it.
do it for them.
You are sure they'll do it?
Communication, the prisoners' medical attention, they will do it. It is the duty of the police to see to it. Once the person rights is curtailed, his liberty and movement is
Has
curtailed.
been curtailed.
He
of
cannot
course.
do anything. So you have to
do
do
everything.
it for. And it's the duty of the police. And the police have been doing it.
Is it the duty of the police to provide food and water for them?
Yes. So this question,
Yes.
I will say yes.
Yes,
and
it is. No. Why is it yes and no?
I will say yes and no because
Because if my right and liberty, everything is curtailed,
yes.
no right to movement, no right to anything, how do I even get food?
You see,
How do I get water?
the police too are working with the police are constrained.
Little resources.
You see, as you rightly said, once you are putting inside there,
Yeah.
the police are putting you in.
Yeah.
So everything they say the police. You know, the police is following a complaint probably lodged by you, which we are going to investigate.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, after arrested, the suspect has been arrested and detained, then I have to feed him. We've been doing it. Even I myself, as I said, I'm an investigator, I do it. Because if this person is detained and the families are not yet in or not yet contacted, the police at least will have to give a human face. We do it.
I think we'll all agree then that not doing that is leading to torture, for starvation, and that also then makes it unlawful.
But sometimes, as I said,
Detention.
you see, it's not easy. But the police have been doing well.
You've been doing
We've
well.
been doing well.
So we
We'll make sure
need
that
to
we feed
applaud
them.
them.
Yes.
Please.
So
And
at
not
least what
chastise them.
to the other authorities to see to it that at least these things will be provided.
So
for.
call on the authorities and
We'll
tell
be
them.
calling. See, sometimes.
Okay, so there's
yeah.
another opportunity for you to call on them.
For them to hear.
For them to
Yes,
hear.
because
So that they provide
at
all the
least
resources
we do
needed.
it. Because
Okay,
once-
so let's move on.
Okay.
Can the police officer arrest without warrant? And what are some of the circumstances? Let me get to root first. Per the laws, what does it say?
So that would be detention when they have reasonable suspicion to arrest you. But that doesn't mean arrest, from what I understand. Because once you're arrested, there's been a formal charge brought against you. That then means...
Okay, so can a police officer arrest a suspect or whatever without a police warrant, without an actual warrant? Can that happen?
So you're saying without a formal charge as well?
Yeah, because you need to be arrested before the charges come.
Okay,
So
let me come in.
Okay, come in.
Yes. The police can arrest without warrant.
Yes.
The Criminal Procedure and Other Offences Act, 1960, Act 30, Section 10,
Wow.
powers the police to arrest.
I hope you are noting down all the laws.
Yes.
that has been
Section
mentioned.
10 of the Criminal Procedure and Other Offences Act, 1960, Act 30, empowers the police to arrest without warrant a person who, one, commits an offense in the presence of a police officer.
Okay, yes.
One.
Yes.
2, a person who obstructs the police officer from the execution of his lawful duty. 3, a person who is attempting to escape or has escaped from lawful custody. 3, a person who is in possession of a thing which is suspected to have been stolen. The police can arrest without warrant. In these instances, the police don't need to go to the court, seek for a warrant before he comes to arrest somebody who is committing offense right in his presence. He can arrest him, and the law empowers the police to do so.
Okay.
Having said this, even the private person can also arrest without warrant.
So the private person here means a normal citizen.
A normal
reasonable
citizen
person.
like you,
Yeah.
a soldier, is a private person, can also arrest without warrant. That is section 12 of the
So
same act.
as we have our camera guys here,
Yes.
in case I'm misbehaving, they can just put their cameras down and arrest me, and it's allowed.
It depends on the offense you are committing.
So assuming I'm committing murder,
Yes, it's a felony. They can arrest you.
they can quickly arrest me.
And the law says if a private person arrests, you hand the person over to
The police.
a police officer available or to the nearest police station. If you send that person to somewhere else,
Then you will be
that
charged.
becomes
Yes.
unlawful arrest. The person can sue you and you compensate the person.
So the general public, this is an
Yes.
advice for you. If you see someone in the act committing a crime, the law empowers you to arrest the person. But when you do that, you take the person straight to the police station or to a police officer that is closest to you and nowhere else. Okay. The studio here has been very hot for the first part of the discussion. We will take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will keep asking more. This show is powered by NUPEZ Foundation and Family Affairs. Welcome back. Can you tell us how it is like in the UK, the private or arrest without warrant?
Yes. So the private arrest is actually a common system worldwide. In Italy, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, they actually call it citizen arrest, whereby you have the mandate to arrest an individual on site if you deem them to be obstructing justice, about to commit an offense, or to have committed an offense. You can also arrest someone who refuses to provide their ID whilst they're in the act. So that
Is it allowed in Ghana when you don't provide your ID when it's needed, right?
Yes, once you catch someone in the act, you ask for their ID, maybe to pass it on to the police to handle it. Once that person refuses, you then have the mandate to arrest them at a given time.
Okay.
So regarding the arrest without warrant, in the UK, we actually have 4 subcategories. So first one is the provision under Section 24 of Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, whereby it's only limited to constables, to law officials. The second one is also under the same provision, but 24A, and that applies to non-constables. The third one is the mandate to arrest a breach of peace under common law, and that kind of relates to the private or citizen's arrest. And the final one is the mandate to arrest other than an offense, and that applies to constables as well.
So that's in the UK. They have
Yes,
the 4 types
we
of
have 4
arrest
types of arrest without warrant.
Okay, that's fine.
lawful.
So moving on. Detective, can you tell us, Article 14.2 of the 1992 Constitution says that a person who is arrested, restricted, or detained shall be informed immediately in a language that he understands of the reasons for his arrest, restriction, or detention, and of his right to a lawyer. How practical is this provision in Ghana?
Thank you.
In Ghana's justice delivery system, how practical is
Thank
this?
you. This provision
Yes.
is practical.
Very practical?
Very practical.
Okay.
It's happening.
Okay.
It's happening. You know, you see this provision of the Constitution highlights two main points.
Okay.
That is the arrest procedure. Let me paraphrase it a bit. It says that when a person is arrested, restricted, and detained,
Yeah.
the fellows or the person arrested should be immediately informed in the language that the person understands the reason for the arrest. That's one. And he should also be told his right to a lawyer. That is the judge's rule, which is practical in policing. Now, if you fail to go by this provision,
Okay.
and anything happens, the arrest is amount to an unlawful arrest.
Okay.
For example, there is this case, the Asante and the Republic.
Okay.
Asante was a constable who was detailed to effect arrest of a person suspected of a crime.
Yes.
Asante got to the person, merely invited the person. The person refused to go. This Asante struggled with the person. In the process, the person put Asante down. That's the constable, kicked him, beat him up, and tore his police uniform. The person was arrested later on, put before court for assault of a public officer and causing damage to a police equipment.
Yeah.
He was convicted. On appeal, he argued that he was only resisting unlawful arrest by the police constable Asante because Asante never arrested him. He invited him.
Yeah.
So based on this, the conviction was passed. So you can see how practical it is in policing. So if this procedure is defied, you can't achieve your aim. The second aspect is the judge's rule. When you are investigating a case, for example, a suspect, you're going to write a statement. This must be administered to him. His right to a lawyer. I'm investigating a case of social against you. You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But whatever you say will be put down. You are also reminded of your right to consult a counsel of your own choice. And if he doesn't get now, that is not a problem. But if you don't tell him this and he goes to court to say that I was not even so, you let him go.
All right.
So it is very, very practical in policing.
Okay.
Practical is it? I'm going to take an opposing view and say it's not very practical, given the fact that several citizens are unaware of how lawyers even work, or how law firms even work, or how access to justice even works. They are not even aware of the Legal Aid Center and the privileges made available to them.
That is very true.
And that takes us to the Legal Aid Center. That has problems on its own. They only have 23 lawyers worldwide. They have one vehicle for the whole 10 regions. They are under-resourced, overworked. They have limited space. So this puts pressure on them, then even delivering justice for these people. In 2017, they had a total of approximately 11,000 cases. They were only able to do about 7,000. And the rest of the 32.75 were just unresolved.
Whoa. That is low. Way.
Let me come in.
Yeah, come in.
Now, so you say it's not practical. I will not agree with her. It's practical in the sense that the law says that tell the person his right to a counsel.
Yeah.
His right to a counsel. That's
So
a lawyer.
so
not his right to a lawyer from the legal aid.
Okay.
You only tell him you have every right to take a lawyer.
Okay, so I get his point.
Tell
so
the person.
They have communicated this
We will tell
to the
you.
person.
Yes.
But as to whether
you go to legal aid or whatnot,
that
it is only.
not
Let me come.
the
I'll come
business
again.
of
He's
the
talking
case.
about the legal aid. That is fine.
Yes.
You see, when you charge somebody and put him before court, and the person has no lawyer, or he cannot afford a lawyer, it is the duty of the person to tell the court, to raise his hand and tell the court, I wish to get a lawyer to defend me, but I can't afford. In that instance, the court will listen to him. The case will be adjourned. And the court will order that they contact the legal aid.
So he's given a lawyer.
To come in and he's given a lawyer. It is not a duty of the police to go to legal aid to get a lawyer for the accusers.
I understand, but what is telling that?
My duty is to tell you.
My duty is
My duty is to tell you that you have.
Their duty.
My duty is to tell you that you are right to a counsel.
But what
I
is
will
guard
not
duty
engage
going to
it.
do
Yes.
when they are not even understanding?
No, you understand. You explain
So
to him.
explain to you.
That is why I said
That's
you
not how it usually
explain.
goes.
You
That's not
explain
how
to
it
the
usually
person.
goes.
A case is an investigation. You have every right.
It's getting hot in here.
You have every
It's
right
really
to
getting hot in here.
engage a lawyer. Not only a lawyer of your own choice. I will tell you, the police officer will tell you, you have every right to consult a lawyer of your own choice. So if you cannot afford a lawyer, is that the policeman?
Okay, so let me come in here.
Blind doesn't mean much to someone who has no idea about.
No, if you don't have a,
That's
You
all
see,
I'm trying to
so
say.
I have
that's what I'm
something
also
to say.
saying, that in case I'm
understand
writing
that
your
your
statement, that is
duty-
suspect. If I'm
Yes.
writing your statement,
Yes.
and I gave you the judge's rules, your right, I've put it there, your right to consult a lawyer of your choice. I've not read and explained this to you. That's why you say that. I didn't know. I didn't even know that I have to take a lawyer for offense.
Half of them don't understand. Even
You
though
say
they
that.
translate.
But
It's
when writing
getting hot
statement,
in
you
here.
write,
So,
you rightly tell
a
me.
minute.
You have every right
A minute.
to a lawyer of your
Detective,
choice.
a minute.
But
That's
now
not
a police will not get
practical.
you a
The question was
lawyer.
how
So
practical is
unless
it?
you
It's not
will then
practical.
say that I don't have a lawyer to the court will order.
Okay,
The
so
question was
so
how
you see,
practical.
you see,
This is not
I want to
practical.
come in here.
It's not-
Where you
I
can
want to
say
come
is
in here.
when the police
Detective,
don't tell you.
detective,
But if I tell you,
it's okay.
if I tell you,
It's
you
okay.
have right to a lawyer.
I need to come in here. I'm coming in here because I understand what Ruth is saying, and I also know that what you are saying is very practical, and it's not the responsibility is not on you
It is
to
there.
provide. You are only
Yes.
supposed to communicate.
Yes, I
But
have to
then,
tell
where,
you.
yes, but where Ruth comes in here is
Yes,
that.
yes.
So that takes me to my next question.
Okay.
We have a lot of people, innocent people for that matter,
Okay.
on remand in police custody for years, and if their cases were ever tried, I don't think they would have spent that much time on remand or in the police custody. So under this circumstance, what happens? What is the Ghana police doing about their justice?
You see, the justice delivery system
Yeah,
does not rest only on the police.
exactly.
The justice delivery system is made up of the police, the judiciary,
Yes.
and the prisons. Let me take it one after the other.
Okay.
When a person is arrested,
Please work within time.
yes,
in
when a
explaining
person is
this.
arrested
Yeah.
by the police,
Yes.
they conduct their investigations. If there are evidence that, yes, indeed, he has committed the offense, he's put before court. If he's put before court and he's either remanded, sometimes he's remanded into police custody.
Yes.
The police have no say. That is court
Order.
order.
Yeah.
The police have to detain him. If you say 2 weeks, you detain him. 2 weeks time, you send him back to the court. If the court remand him again, that is the court. The police have no
Control
police
over
have no
that.
control.
Yes.
If the person is convicted, then the police brings him back to the station and prepare him to send him to the prison. Then the prison station.
So that is
So
where
now I'm coming.
Ruth comes in.
So the delay.
It's because they don't have lawyers. That's why a lot
if
of
they
them
don't
are
have
on
lawyers,
remand.
so is that the problem of the
So okay, so
police?
now what I want to ask is,
Everything
how
is
come
high
you
and
are not
mighty.
working together?
Yeah.
Okay,
That
you
is
work
it.
together on
So
certain
I-
issues,
That is what
but
I
you don't
said.
work together
That's
on
what
everything.
I said. If you have me right, I said the justice delivery system
And that was
does
what my
not
question
rest
was
on only
on.
police alone. It rests on the police, the judicial, that is the courts, and the prisons. And that's why I started it. When the police arrest, it goes through the court to the prisons. Now, if somebody is on remand for 5 years without trial,
Exactly.
should you blame the police?
No, so why
Let me
don't
not
you
tell
work?
Let me
Why
not tell
don't you
you.
work
Yes,
with the
we have to
other
work. Let me
bodies
not tell you.
involved
Some of the
to bring
reasons that
justice to
account
these
for
people?
this delay or cases not heard. One, sometimes numerous adjournment of cases by the court. Rampant adjournment of cases by the court. More often than not. Rampant adjournment. That apart, sometimes retirement of prosecutors and then investigators. That's for the police. Okay. Police prosecutors or investigators.
Okay, so
when they are on retirement.
okay, for that I think it's unfair. Because
No,
if I'm
let me
handling the
explain.
case
Let me
and I'm on
explain.
retirement,
Let me
I
explain.
should hand over.
Let me explain.
Okay, explain.
That's what I said. Sometimes I am not saying that is the case. I am saying that I started from the numerous delays are caused due to numerous adjournments at the courts.
So the first one is the
Rampant,
numerous adjournment of cases by the courts. Yeah.
And then I mentioned the second case of retirement, sometimes retirements of police prosecutors or investigators. When they are retired, the docket have to be reassigned to another prosecutor for continuation. That transition, that period of transition,
Takes time. And why is that?
Yes.
I'll just
We'll
conclude
come to
by
that.
saying that the judiciary has actually taken a review and they passed a new practice direction. There are new criminal procedures that have been put into effect now that would expedite these
This
things.
issue.
So
Yes,
this should be solved
until
in a
they
few
do this.
months.
Or sometimes
Yeah.
transfers. You
So
see,
this
all these
problem
things.
has been solved
Yes.
currently.
So sometimes the problem of people cases not heard or not spirit trial, that's not
My next question would have been
the
what are some of the
stakeholders.
measures that have been put in place?
Yes.
But
Which
like
is
you
what
said,
Yes,
that is
that's
what
where I'm
has
going
been
to
just
come.
done
so
Okay.
now.
at least there's
Yeah.
Yes.
something that is
So,
going on
yes,
to
as
help
Pastor
the
rightly said,
situation.
things are put in order to see to it that these numerous adjournments and whatnot,
languishing in
the court is
prison.
not in session, the judge is on transfer, we are not sitting, and all that. Those things will be a thing of the past. And then the authorities will sit with that. If immediately somebody is handling a case and he goes for retirement, quickly
Yeah.
another person is assigned in the case. Look, let me even, let's not forget something. Sometimes, even the courts use there are some instances whereby a judge is transferred and another judge is assigned to the court. He comes and says, look, I'm starting the case all over. Meanwhile, witnesses have given evidence.
How do you
And
even
gone.
get all those people back
How are you going to get them back? Even if you get them back, they'll actually, I have gone to give my evidence, so I will not go there again.
again?
This
is
get
also
what I'm
another
saying.
delay.
I'm going to start the case all over. And who are you? The judge said I'm going to start the case. It happens to me. That
Which
case.
is why I say all these things on
Also,
paper
all
do
these
not
things will be,
correspond to what happens
factored in.
practically. So they are all not
Yes.
practical.
So the stakeholders have to come together.
Yes.
And
Yes,
then resolve
stakeholders
it.
need to
work
come
in
together.
harmony
Yes.
to be
So it
able
doesn't
to.
rest with the police.
I would want to ask
Yes.
all these people that I spoke about, those that are on remand and detained
Yes.
unlawfully. Okay, is there some freedom? Okay, something that has been given to them. It's more like are there provisions in the law that grant these people who have been detained
Yes.
and denied their
Yes.
freedom
Yes.
unlawful some
Yes.
respite?
Let me take it. It's true.
Okay.
Um, Article 14.
Okay.
Article 14, 6, 7. That's called, let's say 5, 6, 7. Article 14, subsection 5, 6, 7 makes provision for this. 5 says that if a person is arrested, restricted, detained by another person unlawfully, that person detained is entitled to compensation from the other person.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
The 6. 6 says that if a person is convicted and sentenced to imprisonment. Now, the court should take into consideration the period that the person was in lawful custody when imposing the sentence. What it means is that, for example, the person has already been in custody for 5 years, and finally he's convicted and he's given 6 years. Already he served 5 years in custody,
Yes.
so maybe he served 1 year.
Yeah.
Instead of serving another 5 years to join, or 6 years to join to make it no. Then the last but not the least says that if the person has even served the whole of his sentence or part of his sentence, but he is acquitted upon appeal by a court other than the Supreme Court, then that court will satisfy to the Supreme Court for the person to be compensated. And if the Supreme Court deems so fit, the person will be compensated. So they are lost.
It's been hot in here, but then we are running out of time. We take a quick commercial break, and when we are back, we will continue. This show is powered by NUPEZ Foundation and Family Affairs. Welcome back. It was hot in here, so we needed to take a quick break. So, Ruth, can you tell us, for people who can't afford the services of lawyers, what are some of the avenues that they can exploit in the event that they are being arrested unlawfully or detained unlawfully?
And one of the things that have been made available are the legal aid, is the legal aid center. Even though it's not as effective as we would like, we would hope you take advantage and know your rights enough to be able to go and demand some services from them, whether you're defense or prosecution. I'd also suggest or recommend maybe one-on-one interviews with lawyers who would probably give you pro bono advice whereby you could take and apply in the case that the legal aid system does not work in your favor.
All right. Thank you. So, detective, the last but not the least question is for you. A lot of ordinary Ghanaians do not know their rights when it comes to the arrest and detentions, which is something we already spoke about. Aside shows like this, what else is the Ghana Police or the justice delivery system? What are you doing about it to educate people on their rights?
Yes. The Ghana Police Service has on several occasions be on social, what call it, social groupings like religious bodies and other institutions to talk about the operations of the Ghana Police Service. They talk about the do's and don'ts, what the public is expected from the police. For example, there are flyers which they even share to the public and put on other places. Bail is free.
But people pay for bail.
No, then I am telling you that bail is free.
It's actually free.
It's free. Yeah.
and
But
it's
they don't
free.
know that.
And we're telling them. There's flyers.
There are sureties, but you don't have to pay for that until
the sureties
person
only
has
come
found.
so that they can stand surety for the person to make sure that he appears or he reports to the police. Bail is free. Making a complaint to the police station is free of charge.
And all
And
of
we'll be
us
hammering on
available
it. We're
from
not telling you.
murder
We're
to
not telling
theft.
you. It's free. When you are injured, a victim, you get to the police station, they issue you a medical report for. It's free. An extract, for example, your belongings, your landing property, your car document, your license, your voter ID card, it get lost. You walk to the police station and report to them. They give you an extract. It's free. You understand? Yeah. And we have other hotlines too. 1885, you call. Even you can even see even in the night everywhere you call.
Are you sure when they call in the night, you'll change?
They'll pick up.
24/7.
We'll try that after.
This 24.
so.
Then within 5 minutes, they are there.
Yeah.
I'm going to call your line
No
this
calls.
night.
Everywhere. We're there 24/7. So the public now have the confidence in the police that yes, if you're having a problem, you see a policeman. Okay. So one of those
The
things
policemen are supposed to be our friends, but they are not.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. That look, the police is a friendly institution that you have to be with. Interact with the police, and they'll tell you more, and you'll be okay.
Well, all too soon, we've come to an end of today's episode. It's been hot, and I think we would have another segment for this particular topic because we need to educate the public on a lot more things that they know about. Example, knowing that bail is free and all you need are sureties. A lot of people do not know that. Also, a lot of people do not know that when they are being arrested and it's unlawful, they have the right to go on an appeal and ask for the case to be trashed out of court or completely made a foolish case. So many things are the rights that we have as people, but we do not know this. And this is why this show is here for you. I hope and I believe that you've learned a lot today. Well, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay up to date with all the exclusive content on human rights. And also leave a comment so we get interactive and we get to know what your issues are, what you would want us to talk about on every show every day. Please also follow all of our social media handles and leave a comment. Like I said, we want to get interactive with you. It's been nice having you in the studio to educate our fans and the masses on whatever it is that they needed to know. I'm Ama NUPEZ. Thank you for watching Human Rights Talk with NUPEZ.